Hello and welcome back to my channel. If you haven't been here before, I'm Lena Norms and usually my voice is higher, but I'm actually supposed to be in bed right now. My vocal cords are telling me that. But no, I had thoughts, so I put them in a notebook and now I'm putting them in your face. If you'd like to absorb them, that's fine. Now, I consider Midnight Rants the true homeland of this channel, and over the years I've tried mainly to steer clear of meta YouTube commentary content, mainly because I kind of just prefer getting on with what I want to talk about and what this channel's really about. But every now and then the cogs whir, the commentary articles are released, the opinion columns rise, and with it my temper. And I just wanted to talk a little bit about the frustration I've been feeling recently about the coverage of creators and what I have done with that frustration, which is, I now feel quite introspective about it and calm. Well, we'll see, shall we, when I explain. I don't know about you, but I have been seeing a lot of stuff on the news, in my timeline, big traditional news channels doing yet another circuit of analysing what am YouTuber, and they still haven't really worked it out, have they? And it's becoming embarrassing because it's been around for so long now and the coverage just seems to be getting less informed and worse. What I've been seeing at the moment is lots of news outlets covering creators, probably interviewing them for hours and then giving these tiny sound bites to make up a very strange narrative of what it means to be an online creator. And a lot of that at the moment is around burnout. So a lot of YouTubers have been making these vlog videos about burnout. Some of them are incredible, some of them have been not for me. But I think it's important to analyse why we are so intrigued and captivated by the idea of YouTuber and creator burnout, and why YouTubers and creators themselves are so captivated by their own idea of their burnout. The problem comes when you think of the viewer of these videos. Like me, if you work in an office 9 to 5, it's weird to hear the following complaints presented as unique, new and worrying conditions of having a job. A constant need for outside validation, an uncertain future, unsociable hours, constant requirement to produce and create work, a career that seeps into other areas of your life, the blurring of lines between the real self and the professional self. I sometimes look at these, and it's not particularly any YouTuber in general, I think also it's the way that they've been cut and the questions they've been asked and the way that they have been framed in the narrative. So this is in no way about any specific YouTubers, but I cringe so hard. It just and I'm in a very privileged position. I'm not a countess in a castle, but I have a really good job and it pays me really fairly. The cost of living is high, I might not be earning as much as my peers, but I have a really safe, appreciated role in a company, and I think I've seen a little bit of the creator side of things, what it takes to make videos every day, what it takes to create content constantly, and it's just even for me, I cringe so hard when I hear these, as not as complaints, because I'm not saying like buckle down sonny, every job is like this, get on with it, but I'm saying like these aren't new problems, they're not unique problems to creators. That is ridiculous, and they're also problems that we keep as a society trying to inspect. Somehow we manage to distract ourselves and go into panic mode rather than focusing on talking about what we can change about that very, very common condition of work. If you work a job, you will be every day required to produce content, whether that's new ideas, emails, big projects, balancing lots of stuff at once, negotiating things. You will be required to perform with an unspoken undertone of being part of a brand or voice. You will get emails at the weekend that you can't ignore. You will occasionally have overcritical bosses that make you feel shit about yourself, just like the comment section. You will have unclear career paths that may or may not have a future. I can't even say any more on that because I don't really understand how else I can say that. And I don't think having a full-time job for a company is any more moral or good than being a freelancer or a creator or a YouTuber. I am saying that presenting those problems as a unique phenomenon, representing the danger of the internet and what it's really like to put yourself out there for the world, it robs us of the opportunity for us to connect with each other, for audiences to connect with the creator and the creator to connect with the audience. It also robs us of the challenge to develop resilience. to think, hey, the internet seems to be a very, very good thing for many people, and then sometimes it's really bad. Can we not work out how to make the bad things less bad rather than dismissing the whole thing, baby with the bathwater? Fuck me. I've genuinely seen creators who seem to very naively be presenting their problems as news, and I'm not saying they're not important or valuable feelings that should be addressed and are very relevant to their channel. Like, if you're following a personality channel and they show you their personality and their feelings and what they're going through, that is exactly the kind of content that should be appearing on their channel. Where it becomes embarrassing, I think, is when people present it as a new concept. They really struggle to contextualize their own experience in the common experience. And what makes me sad is that I think a lot of creators don't talk about burnout or what they're struggling with in their jobs or how they're negotiating their professional and personal lives, because they feel guilty, because they feel like they've got the dream and everybody else is envious of them and they should be very grateful. And again, I don't think it's fair to deprive a creator of that kind of very relatable content, not being able to manage your time properly, feeling over criticised in the workplace, burning out because the demands on you are too high. Like, these are things, that's the kind of content that I imagine a lot of audiences would find useful if the creators thought about how it could apply to the audience. Because the mainstream media is feeding that narrative to the creators, they're swallowing it. It encourages a patronising tone. It encourages creating content that's patronising towards their audience, and it distances their audience from them. Their audience stop watching their videos because they're like, you're not relatable anymore. But what's painful is that I'm like, your favourite creators are actually relatable. They just don't understand how they are relatable to you, and they've been sold this idea that they're different and that they're legendary. All of their audience want to be them. Because something that I have really realised, especially in the last couple of years, is that when I'm creating content for you guys, with the Gumption Club, which is my Patreon group, or like generally when I'm chatting to people in Instagram DMs or in Premiere chats, or the questions that you ask me in the comments, a lot of my audience already have paths they're going on. I've got people who are like nurses and teachers and parents, people studying criminology and psychology and building apps, and like these are all things that I literally know nothing about. And sometimes I guess I thought somewhere in my head at some point years ago that people would want to ask me questions about how to become me, and actually they were far more interested in my thoughts on how I became me, and then therefore how they can become them. Like, rather than I don't think the way I live my life is the dream for most of you, but perhaps the approach that I have to life is, and that's why we get on. I feel like I feel like I found my people. I feel like I'm like, you guys get it. You know what's going, you know what's. And anyway, I'm gonna link some examples in the description, but like, anyway, if you watch these video commentaries where it's like slow-mo, like following a creator through their day, they make their days seem quite lonely, which also sitting in a cubicle in an office is quite lonely, and they also make it seem like the internet is a dangerous place to be. Their agenda is kind of like, we're yet to research the real consequences of young people thinking for themselves and creating content they really believe in, so better to stay clear and keep your kids at home. They're creating this narrative that the whole of the internet is an unsafe place for young people, and the reality of it is that sometimes the four walls of their home or the four corners of their village are the most unsafe place they could be, and the internet is a way for them to get out of that, either for a minute or a thread that leads to a whole lifetime of freedom. Summary of this section of my thoughts is that it breaks my heart to see traditional media outlets repackaging our own problems and selling them back to us like they are sensational news, rather than creating think pieces and interviewing people with solutions and exploring a balanced idea of the good and bad things about online platforms like YouTube. See no evil. I would if I could. Okay, the next part of my thinking, how do I say this? Two theories chilling in a hot tub, 10 feet apart because they're economically incompatible. At the moment, the way it stands, creator life, this idea of being a full-time creator, which also is wrapped up in it for many YouTube creators, independent journalists, is incompatible with capitalism. Blah 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 blah. That's the fire of capitalism burning in all of our hearts. At the moment, it doesn't perfectly work. I'll tell you for why, and here's where I get off my well, I am morally superior because I have a job, I'm not just a creator, I'm actually a professional. Because here are some things that are really good about having an office job that I benefit from, and I feel really shitty for the people who are freelance and don't get this, because I think that most of these might be a human right. Sick pay, maternity leave, counselling. A lot of, not all, but a lot of companies that I've worked for offer free counselling. You're paid even if you have an off day, or you don't perform properly, or the company loses money that month. Every month, pretty much whatever happens, because of laws that protect me, I get the same amount into my bank, and it's exactly what I expected, and it's on time, and if it ain't there, it's against the law. Arguably, up until that point, that kind of support has given me the peace of mind and the mental health agility to be able to make these videos. That might change one day, but right now, sometimes I think back and I feel so grateful for those things. Now, all I'm saying is that it doesn't have to be like this. I'm not telling you how it could be different, but what I am certain of is that it doesn't have to be like this. And one of those ideas that people play around with is this idea of universal basic income, which I would like to learn more about and then make a video about at some point, because I'm still learning, but it would, there's a lot of things that unless you are earning a 6-figure salary, you can't buy yourself as a creator. You can't, a lot of people might be feeling like they're being successful because they're paying their month-to-month bills, but they can't pay into a pension. They don't have enough money saved for if they might be sick for a whole year. Or have to go and have a baby for a whole year. Like, okay, my camera just died, so even it thinks it's time for bed. It's like 1 in the morning. Another reason why when people are like, oh, how do you do it all? I'm like, deprive myself of sleep until I slowly die. My last point is about this idea of the shame of the hustle versus the fetishization of the hustle. So this idea that like a lot of people are writing articles and making videos about it's all about the hustle. Yeah, you gotta hustle. Gotta be the hustler. Yeah. Working all day, working all night. Gotta get that money. Gotta get that fame. Gotta get that creativity. Gotta love what you do and graft at it all hours of the day because you love it. That crowd, of which there is a spectrum inside them. And then there's the people who are like, the hustle is over, hustle is bad for your mental health, you need to look after yourself, it's not all about your career, some people can just have jobs, calm the fuck down. And then there's the people over between those two, like Casey Neistat, who recently made a video talking about how the hustle is the only way that he got to where he is, and he's proud of the hustle and he busted his ass to get where he is, and he's not ashamed of working really hard and doing stuff that to other people seems nonsensical to drive towards telling stories and making content that he is proud of. And I feel like I'm floating between all of these three groups, like listening to what they're saying, being like, yeah, you're so right, and then wandering over to the other group and listening to what they're saying and being like, yeah, good point. And I feel like I'm somewhere where I'm kind of like, can we not think of this in seasons? Like, I feel like the hustle, whatever you want to call working more than you're paid to do, or than more than 40 hours a week, really, having side hustles, hustling within your job. For my life, I would like to see the hustle in seasons. I would like to see myself going above and beyond and working all hours on projects I believe in, which is what I'm definitely in that season at the moment. And then also having seasons of like, do you know what, I've worked really hard, I'm just gonna ruminate, I'm gonna spend my time learning about the things and looking after my body and enjoying the success that I've had and looking for the success for the future, but enjoying the present moment. And like, I want both of those things in my life, and I don't think that we should be choosing or arguing about the inherent evil or inherent good of hustling, which I'm sure other generations will probably laugh at and be like, do you mean working, practicing, getting better at what you do? Because again, like, it's interesting to think about this idea of like how far we've come, because in the 19th century you didn't have career choices, you didn't have vocations, you didn't have careers really, you had jobs, and you inherited those jobs. A lot of people still carry the surnames that describe that: baker, butcher, smith. I imagine that my ancestors sold the norm. I wonder how much they charged for the gender norm, and how new this concept is, how insane it would be to our ancestors, which doesn't mean it's bad, but just important context, and how new it is, how much we can shape it, how much it doesn't need to be this way. It's only been this way for like 150 years, which really isn't that long, like calm down. So yeah, anyway, I'm gonna go. Those are my thoughts on the hustle. More nuanced debate there needs to be around burnout, and why we should all start talking about the concept of careers more, how to navigate a workplace, whether you're creating that workplace alone or you are attending a workplace that is controlled by somebody else. Like, can we talk about that more than how to get from one job to another, how to get free of the working life? Like, I would like, there's so much more content to make, basically, so many more conversations to be had. I'm excited, I'm nervous, I'm confused, I'm vertical when I should be horizontal. Frogs like out, bye!